Hey everybody, Chris Matan, Real Estate Machine Show. Today we're going to talk about looking back or really not looking back. How many people are involved in real estate or even home buying for that matter? Real estate investing, buying your home and kind of, thinking back and regretting something or wishing you did this, wishing you bought that, wishing you sold that sooner, bought that sooner. All these things you kind of go back and you kick yourself and wish you did things a little bit differently. And I'm here to tell you that that is the absolute worst thing that you can possibly do. I hear it all the time. I think about it myself, even. Look, I've been in the business over 30 years, not only brokerage, but have bought and sold real estate, 10 times, 20 times over. And, there were some opportunities that were put in front of me that, I looked at, I looked really hard at, I looked close at, I could have done it. I didn't pull the trigger and somebody did, and they ended up making a lot of money. Some of it was was short-term money and some of it, they held it for a long time. And, it turned out to be a really, really good investment, a great investment. And, I'm working on a deal right now, which, knock on wood, we're going to close it Friday, timestamp this. It's going to be on Friday. But anyway, the sellers owned the building for, 30, 40 years, something like that, ran his business out of there and made a ton of money on the business, didn't really do a whole lot of investment into the building itself. And today it shows. And, he's kind of paying for that a little bit. The building could have been a little bit worth a little bit more if it was maintained a little bit better. And, he had opportunities to sell that property, a lot more money that he's ended up selling it for today while it was operating as a business. But look, it's all about timing. Timing is so critical to this game, this real estate game that we're playing, that, you can't look back and say, oh, I should have done this. So long as you also look back and know exactly what was going on in your life or your business at that particular moment, because there is a reason why you didn't pull the trigger, why you didn't sell the deal. Um, and you can't look back. It just is what it is. And I'm willing to bet that because you didn't take action when you think you should have on that, you probably took action on something else, benefited in another way, and kind of come out even in some way, you know. But it kind of also goes towards timing the market. A lot of people look at 2020 as kind of like a baseline. You look at 2020, you look at 2020 or 2007, something like that. You got two major crises that happened. You had the great financial crisis, and then you had COVID, of course. And nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew that either of those things were really going to happen. And then nobody knew what was going to happen coming out of it. And, the financial crisis was what it was. It was kind of business related. It was, it was just kind of like almost like a cycle that you almost like a bubble. It was kind of a bubble. And, but you look at COVID, COVID was something totally different, totally, um, came out of nowhere. Nobody knew what to do. And, there was just terror in the streets. No, just nobody knew what to do. And but anybody that was able to kind of withstand that, maybe took some chances, it didn't take long to bounce back. After the financial crisis, it took some years to kind of bounce back. But COVID, we really came out of it pretty strong, and I guess inflation helped from a value standpoint. But buyers are kind of left in the dark now, especially like first time buyers. But looking at what happened in 2020, and you look at different markets, look at Cleveland in particular. You bought real estate in 2017, 18, 19 in Cleveland. All of a sudden, you doubled or tripled your money, really for doing nothing. And it was just an element of COVID and then inflation and the market and interest rates and everything kind of came all together. And you know, some of those prices now or the appetite is starting to come down a little bit. If you compare multifamily like apartment buildings today to like say 2022, I don't think anybody's paying 2022, 20, 21, 21, 22 prices today. They're underwriting a lot differently. The interest rates are like double, and it's just a different time. So those people that were holding on, should they have sold in 21 and 22 and gotten those big numbers? I don't know. I think it still comes down to what you're doing. You can't look back. Some people did sell and wish they didn't sell. So, for a variety of reasons, everybody's lifestyle is different. Everybody's business is different. Everybody's tax position is different. Everybody's income is different. So, it's just it's a really interesting conversation to have with people. If you just talk to people in the real estate business, everybody's got a story that starts with, oh, I should have done this, or I could have bought that. I could have bought that. We all have them. But I'm here to tell you, look forward, don't look back, don't regret. You did fine. You're still around. You're watching this video, so you must be doing something right. Anyway, hope you all have a great rest of the day. We'll talk to you real soon on the Real Estate Machine Show.